Magic systems are some of the coolest things in all of media, in my opinion. The way they interact with the world, the way that they exist, the way that they're handled, it's all super, super intricate. And depending on how much a writer or a storyteller wants to go into details, you can get really down to the nuts and bolts of how it actually works. And that can either add to the mystification of them, or it can make them feel like a science. I prefer to give people just enough nuggets of information so they understand how the magic works, but leaves it still kind of mystifying, if you will, and extraordinary. I don't want them to treat it as a pseudoscience by the end of things, even if they abide by rules and regulations that makes it like a physics. Smart readers can put things together if they really want to and figure it out if you write it well, but that's not what I'm here to talk about today. What I'm here to talk about today is specifically healing magic and the consequences and interesting ways to use healing magic in your stories. My name is Lucky Tempest, and I am a published author. I also host Late Night Lucky in my streams, where I talk about writing, and I write my books while playing lo-fi music and thunderstorm ambient sounds in the background. People seem to love it, and I enjoy doing it. This video is just an extension of that love of writing and doing things that I enjoy. So I hope that you'll hang out with me and think a little bit about healing magic and the applications of it in the world. So the first thing I want to do is just talk about how healing magic is usually portrayed in media, because by and large, it's kind of represented the same way. Usually it's some kind of holy driven spell. It's a work of miracles, or it comes from mana, whether it's like, you know, a water element or something else, and it rejuvenates life, allowing you to repair tissue, reverse blood back into the body. Just basically this very nebulous power that allows a user to heal themselves and or others, and in doing so they can serve as a great support unit for their party. A lot of times characters that have this are soft-hearted, they don't really enjoy violence, but they have a deep love for, you know, nature or people, and they're just really kind individuals. And healing magic kind of lining up with their personality, right? Of course, there's exceptions to these rules, but usually you're going to see characters like Katara from Avatar using her water magic to heal people, or you're going to see the cleric in D&D healing people through the power of their god, that kind of thing. And I think all of that is really awesome. I think that's very cool. I'm glad that there's like a well understood base for people to pull from and an expectation. The way I like to use healing magic is a bit different, and there's reasons for that, and let's get into it. So for me, at least in Lucky Days, the book that I'm writing, which is my lore book right now in Late Night Lucky, healing magic is this really rare, super powerful type of magic. Not everybody can just use it. In my story, most people have the ability to work with all the elements, right? At least on a basic level, you know, start a small fire, maybe drop some water in a cup, that kind of thing. But healing magic is something that is not part of that pie. The thing with healing magic, though, is it comes at a cost. You can't just use healing magic and expect it to be okay all the time. What is the cost? Is it something that's just, you know, you just gotta have a ton of training, you can't use any other magic or something like that? No, not the case. The target that you're healing has to undergo extreme physical duress. So let's say, for example, somebody got their arm lopped off, right? You heal the arm. As the arm regrows, not only are they feeling the pain they already had from losing their arm, but the pain of their arm slowly regrowing, the flesh, you know, growing, the muscle fibers entwining together, the bone cracking as it becomes whole again. All of that, they have to feel that in real time. So they have this extreme physical trial they have to go through while they're being healed, which is already bad enough. But then on the other side of things, there's this mental damage that is caused by their gate undergoing stress. Now, for those of you that have been around before, you know what I'm referring to when I say gate, but the gate is essentially a soul. Every living being tends to have one in the universe, and this gate allows people to utilize magic. When the gate is open, you're allowed to channel your magic freely through your body and emit spells, cast protections, etc., right? So for simple terms, for the sake of this video, it's your soul. What happens when your soul is under stress and takes damage in universe? Well, like I said, it can do mental damage. It can give the receiver PTSD to the point where maybe they're not able to do things the way they used to anymore. You know, it can have a direct impact on their ability to control their mana. It can make it so that maybe they have a psychotic breakdown, maybe they have a personality change. There's a lot of different things, and different kinds of people will react to healing differently. Just like the degree of the wound that was healed has an impact on, you know, how they are after that. If you're just healing a scratch, the damage done to one's gait isn't quite as large. Whereas if you're literally repairing an entire limb, that can get nasty pretty quick. This whole process has manifested in one of the relatively main-ish characters of the story, Nimadj, having a hard time. This Nimadj character has been a pretty reliable adventurer on many quests with Team Decima throughout the story. This is a team that tackles multiple quests, and they kind of fill this role of being an assassin type character where they can help do crowd control. They can kind of snipe targets. They have some decent AoE stuff. They're kind of a jack of all trades assassin type, but they're very good at what they do. They're efficient. They're clean with their ideas, and they just get a lot done. And they have very fine control over their mana, so they're able to do things that others that might have similar tools can't really do. Well, there was a fight, and after that fight, Team Decima kind of had to rest up because there was this tournament coming up. And they called in a favor to get some healing, and one of the other characters, Taiga, by the way, everybody on Team Decima is a subscriber in my Twitch, and these subscribers specifically wanted to be in the story. So they have manifestations of the characters. Anyways, back to the point. Taiga got a ring that essentially nullifies all mental attacks, curses, anything that would like afflict their gait in a negative way from an outside source. And the ring chose Taiga. Artifacts in this world are called breakers, and breakers usually have some kind of will per se. And they didn't really realize this, but the ring only worked for Taiga. So when Taiga got healed, they didn't suffer any of the negative consequences of healing. However, when Taiga gave the ring to Nimadj, so Nimadj could get healed and Nimadj put it on, and Nimadj got healed, they immediately had to stop the healing because Nimadj recoiled. They were screaming. It was terrible. It was not a good time. They were going through it. Mind you, the healing didn't even last for more than a second and a half, right? But it was a big wound. Well, after this, Nimadj did no training for the following time while everybody else was kind of getting ready for their tournament fights. Nimadj was just kind of helping Taiga and just kind of chilling. You know what I mean? Nobody caught on to it because, I mean, it's Nimadj. Nimadj kind of does their own thing. They don't really do team exercises, so didn't really think anything of it. But during Nimadj's tournament fight, while they were rapidly switching between their breakers and casting spells and doing their thing, they started to have like this really bad searing sensation in their brain, and it kind of broke their focus. I mean, they were literally right within the finishing blow. They were about to win, and then this happened. And then, you know, the fight changed directions. Now it went from what was relatively an even fight and Nimadj kind of winning to now Nimadj is losing, and losing bad. It kind of affected their personality. They were already, you know, kind of cold, but they got a little bit more quick-tempered and a few other things. But ultimately what wound up happening, the punishment for this was that Nimadj lost their fight. In a fight that Nimadj realistically probably should have won, but it was all because they received a little bit of healing that they had to, you know, pay essentially for that. And this is just like the first way that I've shown, one of the first ways that I've shown how healing works in universe, as it's not super common, right? So now there's this question of, okay, in the future, when we have a wound, do we allow ourselves to take the super long recovery time that it would normally take in a hospital, or do we use this emergency heal that has massive consequences? And most adventurers are aware that using proper healing magic is like a big no-no, right? In fact, it's so much of a problem that people that have the healing ability tend to hide it. They tend not to show it because they don't want to have other adventurers or other people want to avoid them, right? It's like, well, what happens if the healer heals me without me giving them consent and stuff like that? So there's a whole social aspect to it that goes beyond just the decision, do I want to deal with the consequences, or, you know, do I want to take the slower healing approach? So that's one of the ways that I'm handling healing magic in my story. I like it. I think it's fun. It gives me an extra layer of things to think about when I'm deciding what to do with characters and allowing them to make decisions that make sense based on how they would act normally. And it definitely it definitely provides its fair set of problems too when writing, because there are times where it's like, okay, we had a massive fight, a character needs to sustain an injury, but we have this thing happening later. How are we going to handle the downtime, because they're not going to get the healing magic, right? So moving around puzzle pieces like that can definitely be an interesting problem that occurs when having this kind of healing magic. Anyways, that's enough out of me. I just wanted to talk about this a little bit because it's really fascinating to me. I love talking about writing. I love talking about power systems and all this mumbo jumbo. What's your favorite representation of healing magic in media? You know, is it the type of like Goblin Slayer priestess healer, or is it like fucking redo of healer? If it's that, I'm gonna kick you. I'm gonna kick you real hard. You're banned forever. Don't come near me. Anywho, I know I talked about it before, but I am writing Lucky Days right now on stream. You should definitely come check that out. If not, then, you know, check out the VODs channel. You can watch that in the background while you do stuff. It's all there organized from the very, very first one to the most recent one. It stays up to date really nice. I also have all my books free right now on Wattpad and web novel. It's going to be going up on Royal Road soon. Those links are in my link tree, as well as in my Discord, as well as on my socials. So if you want to read my stuff, you don't want to have to wait to do it on stream or wait for the paid edited version, you can do so there. Other than that, I appreciate you for watching, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Until next time. Okay, bye.